Netflix's One Piece is on the way, and regardless of whether you love or hate the idea of live action adaptations of an anime and a manga, we are getting it. And it is causing quite the stir on the internet. But regardless of whether or not you think you're going to hate this or not, most of us are probably going to at least give it a try. And there is some reason to think that this is going to be a very good adaptation. So I thought today it would be worth going over a kind of setup introductory video for if you haven't gone back to the beginning of One Piece in a while, or if you're new to the franchise. I mean, go ahead and bring anybody you know that's always been curious about it but is going to try it for the first time with live action, and I'll try and get you guys set up so you can go ahead and see this when it comes out. I suppose the first question that you'll have is, what is it about? Oh, so many things. You have adventure, friendship, how much meat you can possibly eat that would defy human logic. But at the heart of the story, it really is about adventuring and pirates. And that is going to be a big factor in this whole series. I kind of have jokingly told some people that I know that look at the One Piece anime and are a little confused by it and basically say, kind of picture Pirates of the Caribbean if it was an anime. And that's basically a lot of how we can describe One Piece. It is quite essentially one of the original shonen that launched the anime culture and fandom that we have today. And at its heart, this is a story about a boy who wants to be on an adventure and become king of the pirates. So, what actually happened to get us to this point? So, about 15 to 20 years before the start of the series, there was a pirate named Gol D. Roger. Roger was essentially the best pirate on the entirety of the Grand Line. Now, in this world, the Grand Line is essentially the New World. In this world, there is two lines that is known: the Blue Line, essentially an ocean that runs all the way around the world, and the Red Line, a continent that runs north and south. The Grand Line is located at the dense center between these two. And this is the area where pirate legends are born in One Piece. Gol D. Roger was able to acquire almost everything that was of worth within the world of One Piece, and for it, he was called the Pirate King. He was powerful, he was charismatic, he controlled some of the most fearsome and powerful pirates on the Grand Line. But then one day, he was captured by the Marines and the world government. But before his execution, he did quite a few things, as manga readers will know. But one of the most important things he did was, when he was being marched to the gallows, he made a proclamation. He told everyone in attendance, of which there were many, that they could have what he had: wealth, fortune, power. They could have it all. All they had to do was go to the Grand Line and find it for themselves. This launched the Age of Piracy, and is pretty much where our story begins, though we will actually have to jump forward in time to meet our main character. The story will actually begin with Monkey D. Luffy, a boy who is enamored with the idea of becoming a pirate, even though he can't swim. He will end up meeting several pirates in his early life that will influence him one way or the other, and will ultimately set him on a course to becoming the king of the pirates. Now, for most of the story, Luffy is a 17-year-old man. He acts more like a boy a lot of the time, but he ends up becoming enamored with the idea of becoming the Pirate King. He has the ability known as the Gum Gum Fruit. Essentially, he ate a very special fruit that gave him the ability to turn into a rubber man. He can stretch, he can bend, he can manipulate how his body works sometimes, and it ultimately gives him one of the most powerful abilities. Now, this does have a massive drawback, because if you eat a devil fruit, you essentially lose the ability to swim. And if you get submerged in water, you lose all of the powers that it gives you. This is not a great thing, given that the One Piece world is primarily composed of water, but it is worthwhile as it gives its users significant benefits. So that's Monkey, but that's not the only character we have. While he is arguably the main character, One Piece features a varied and diverse cast, and I think that we have to talk about second is Zoro. Roronoa Zoro is considered one of the greatest swordsmen in the One Piece world. He is often referred to as a living demon, and he is known as one of the fiercest pirate bounty hunters. So it makes perfect sense that a guy who wants to become king of the pirates decides to recruit him. I'm not kidding. But this turns out to be a good decision, as Zoro is his second in command and one of his most dedicated followers. Zoro practices a form of martial arts called free sword style. It is extremely powerful. Essentially, he holds two katanas in each of his hands and then another one in between his teeth. This style is unknown to most people, and because of it, they don't really have a good counter for it. Now, as they get closer to the Grand Line, they encounter better sword fighters and other combatants in general, but he is able to keep up with this, and he is considered one of the strongest characters in One Piece. But he's not the only strong character. But we'll talk about that person in a minute. For right now, we have to talk about who is arguably the smartest person on the crew. That would be Nami, the ship's navigator. She is an interesting person. She mostly starts out as a thief who targets pirates. Again, why not? You totally want this person on your crew. But it works out. She's arguably one of the cleverest navigators, easily able to steer a ship in the right direction even when she's down with terrible illness. She is kind of like one of the most important characters to the whole of the ship, as she essentially keeps it going in the right direction and makes sure that it doesn't crash. She's also one of the few people that tries to keep some of the more rambunctious members, including their captain, from entirely sinking the ship or getting in fights with every other person they meet. Next, we have to talk about somebody who's equal parts smart and cowardly, and that is Usopp. Now, depending on who you talk to in the anime community, some people love Usopp and some people don't. I actually happen to love him. He's kind of the ship's engineer, as they don't actually acquire a shipwright and carpenter to work on it for quite a while. So he ends up taking on care of repairs of their ship, the Marigo, as well as inventing a good portion of the equipment that the others will actually use. He is famously a coward and a bit of a liar, but his lies are almost always obvious, and he's good at heart. He gets picked up a little bit later in the series. For now, we have to talk about who we're going to meet after him, and it's a monster. Last person that we're going to see recruited in this season is going to be Sanji. Sanji is a bit of an enigma compared to the others. We get a background on most people, and while we do have a motivational background for Sanji, you're going to learn more about him way later in the series if we get to that point. But he's actually picked up because he is the ship's cook. Now, that probably seems weird given that I said he's one of the monster crew members, but he is. He was trained in an all-kicks fighting style called Black Leg style, and it's so powerful it can often be used to fight literal monsters. This is because under his tutorship to another very famous pirate chef, he was basically taught that your hands should only be used for cooking. So his legs have become so powerful, they make him one of the three most powerful members of the crew. And those should be all of the characters that we get to meet that will be our main characters for the season. There's going to be some villains that we'll see introduced, and hopefully we'll get some of the other supporting cast in this season, but it's a bit difficult to say, as even from the trailer it appears they have altered some things, like the timing of certain characters' introductions and the like. That could be good or bad, but I hope this helped you get a better idea of what you'll be seeing when you start One Piece, whether you're new to the franchise or you just needed a bit of a friendly reminder.